Hello, I'm Annette Young and welcome to the 51%, a show about women reshaping our world. Coming up, in the wake of Me Too allegations, a new poll reveals that America is now one of the world's top 10 most dangerous nations for women. Also, is your company female friendly? We talked to Canadian-based businesswoman Magali Depras, who's been promoting gender parity certification in the corporate sector. And we follow one Saudi woman who experiences the joy of renting a car and driving off. A simple act that until now was strictly forbidden in the highly conservative Muslim nation. But first, a new poll has found India, the Democratic Republic of Congo and the United States as being among the top 10 most dangerous countries for women. According to the survey carried out by Thomson Reuters Foundation, while India was number 1, the US was the only Western nation to make it into the top 10 in a questionnaire of global experts.
Good. Good.
Learning to block unwanted advances.
Nice.
These women are attending a self-defense class in New York.
I think it's just generally good knowledge to have, especially because I get harassed every single day.
I'm just a little bit more pragmatic now about saying like, okay, well, this is how you need to arm yourself to deal with these situations, because these situations are going to happen.
In a poll by Thomson Reuters, the US has been ranked as the 10th most dangerous country in the world for women. It's the only Western country in the top 10. In the wake of the Me Too movement, women have felt able to share their experiences of sexual assault openly, revealing the extent of the problem. India topped the list. The report cites issues in the country including sexual violence, human trafficking and forced marriage. For women in Mumbai, the daily commute can be fraught with danger. They face groping, catcalls and sexual violence.
As a young adult, as I was growing up, usually public transportation was a source of terror for me because you never knew how men will look at you, how men will touch you.
Gun violence is not a problem here, but rape is, or just general harassment and molestation is.
The report's release comes amid mounting public outrage following a string of high-profile rape cases. Other countries on the list include war-torn Afghanistan and Syria, coming second and third, respectively.
Now, if you're a regular viewer of this show, you know just how frequently we talk about how the business world is still lagging behind in the push for parity. One of France's leading business schools, INSEAD, is marking 50 years since it first admitted women as students with an international conference focusing on equality in the corporate world. And one of the speakers is Magali Depras, who's the committee chair of Women in Governance in Canada and also behind the first gender parity certification in the country. Magali, thanks for being with us. Firstly, I'm going to have to ask you, what is gender parity certification?
Good question. Yes, gender parity certification is in fact a process that you have and put in place in order to measure the progress made in companies in terms of having female representation at all levels of the organization.
Are you meeting any resistance?
I would not say we meet any resistance. I think what I've noticed is that companies who are not sure how far they've come don't dare registering for this certification. So we have to encourage them.
So just take me through the process. How does it really work?
So what we do, in fact, is that we are taking a holistic view. We're not only looking at what is the representation of women at board level or at executive committee level. We really look at what are the processes at every level, the representation of females at every job positions in the organization, the hiring processes, the promotion processes, equal pay, the targets. Are these companies really articulated targets in numbers in terms of how many female will they have on their boards, will they have on their executive committees, and by when?
But the problem really is, because as for anybody who looks at the corporate sector these days, the reality is in senior management, it's still dominated by men, and men of a certain age. And so you're talking about dealing not only with a corporate mindset, but with individuals' mindsets, aren't you, as well?
Absolutely. I think it's, you named it right. I think this mindset has to change. We have to empower women to believe in themselves, to believe in their capacities and capabilities to take on leadership positions. We have to identify also mentors or sponsors, not only female mentors, by the way, it can be male mentors who really support them and encourage them.
But you're talking there about women, but you also have to get men on board as well.
You're totally right. I think it won't work if we don't onboard men in the process. I think we have to also make men understand that a more diverse company and diverse and inclusive decision-making body will make better decision. And I'm very encouraged to see companies starting to measure this and to measure the benefits of having inclusive teams.
But I imagine there are still men who struggle with that notion. So how do you really get the message across?
I think it's really, really essential, important that we share, good examples, best practices of companies who have put this in place and can measure the increase in revenues, the increase in profits, the increase in employee engagement, in brand awareness and recognition within the public when they have more females in their decision bodies.
Do you have any examples of people who've taken this message on and actually are trying to do this?
Absolutely. During this certification process, we have identified some of the best practices in Canada, and I have to say that especially interestingly in the banking sector and the insurance sector.
Which are very conservative sectors, aren't they?
Absolutely. And to name them, the Royal Bank of Canada has been one of the platinum certified companies when we launched it last year. And what they are really systematically measuring and demonstrating is how do they progress when they have more females in their teams. Another example I found really interesting is Sodexo, which is quite known in France, of course, and a big global catering company. Sodexo has undergone a survey within top 80 managers, and they have measured employee engagement, increase in revenues, increase in profits, increase in employee attraction through having more diverse teams. And they have published those results.
Magali, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Now, as people across the globe are tuning in to the World Cup coverage, another story at this massive sporting event is beginning to make headlines. That being the harassment of female reporters, with at least 2 episodes being captured recently on video. And France 24's Katavan Gorgistani, who's covering the event, has also found herself to be the target of such behaviour, as she explains here.
The problem is that this is, of course, football. It's a festive atmosphere. There's also usually a lot of alcohol involved, but there are kind of 2 categories of these types of fans. They're the ones who don't believe they're doing anything wrong, who think it's cute to give a kiss to a female reporter who's on air, that will do anything to get in front of the camera, and who think that they're not doing anything bad. And then there's another category who know exactly what they're doing and who sort of take advantage of the fact that we are in front of the camera, that we are live, and that we're probably not going to react in order to kiss or do a worse, grope us, and usually do things and touch us in places that are not shown on a camera and that make it hard for us to show what's going on. So it is a difficult environment, and the sad thing is that I've personally come to find it a little bit, not the groping, of course, but the kisses, the unwanted hugs. I've come to see it as, unfortunately, a part of the job. And I think that in these past few days, seeing the reaction of my colleagues and of some of the other female reporters here, I realized that no, it's not a part of the job. It's not normal, and I shouldn't have to put up with that. We're trying to do our jobs. We know that they're enjoying, they're celebrating, and yes, come and sing with us, come and chant, show your appreciation for your team. But the message is let us do our work and stay a little bit far from us.
And may it be the start of changing our attitude towards such inappropriate behaviour and acknowledging that it's not part of the job, in fact, any job. And now it's something many around the world take for granted, but women in Saudi Arabia are finally being allowed to drive. Yet several leading Saudi women activists who actively push for the ban to be lifted are still detained on unspecified charges after a crackdown in May. In the meantime, we meet a Saudi journalist who's using her foreign driver's licence and went to rent a car in her native Riyadh.
A scene that might be unremarkable anywhere else in the world. But here in Saudi Arabia, this Associated Press journalist is about to do something she's never done before.
I've lived in Saudi Arabia for 17 years. This is the first time I can rent a car here. And God willing, I'll drive.
The kingdom has only just lifted a ban on women from driving, so it's with a foreign license that this experienced motorist is able to hit the road. Cruising down familiar streets, but this time in the driver's seat, a significant change for Malak and others who can afford to get a license.
Honestly, it's a very strange feeling. I was born in Saudi Arabia. I never expected a day that I could drive in Saudi. I drive in the UAE and in the United States. But to be in the streets of Riyadh behind the wheel is very strange.
In May and in June, Saudi police arrested several female activists, including those who had campaigned to lift the ban.
There was a lot of criticism against the arrests, showing perhaps that though there are changes that are happening in the kingdom, some people are still wary.
Though Malak now has the right to take the wheel, it's still a long road until Saudi women achieve equality in other areas. Saudi Arabia's male guardianship system means a woman still needs a man's permission to do things such as travel, find a job, or get married.
And that's it for now. And you can connect with us via our Facebook page, that of course being France24.51%, or do send us a tweet at _51%. Thanks for your feedback so far. And please keep those story ideas and suggestions coming in. So until our next show, bye for now.